Jeffrey Goldberg, editor-in-chief of The Atlantic. Jeffrey and two of his colleagues just got an interview with President Trump just last week. Ashley Parker and Michael Shearer were the other two Atlantic journalists. And Jeffrey, moments ago, we just heard President Trump blaming the new economic numbers on President Biden. We've heard this theme from him before, blaming others for anything that normally would be considered his responsibility. What was the president's tone when you met with him?
Well, on that direct point, Jake, it was interesting because, and I don't have the exact number in front of me, but at least 6 or 8 times in the course of the hour we spent with him, he brought up Joe Biden, not invited by us to bring up Joe Biden. He brought up Biden's name of his own accord, to blame him for various specific things or just to say how terrible a president he was. It was noticeable. In other words, every 5 or 10 minutes, some reference to Biden and his faults. He even said, as we walked into the Oval Office, he even said, in reference to the interview, he said, "I bet Biden would never do this." I mean, what I took from that is that he's got Biden on the brain. Part of it is obviously political, tactical. Like, I'm going to blame my predecessor as long as I possibly can for whatever I don't like about the economy or politics in America. Part of it is just it's sort of organic to who he is. The need or desire to spread blame is really strong in him, and obviously every day that goes on. Every day we get further away from the Biden administration, it becomes that much more difficult to sell the idea that anything good that happens is Trump's responsibility. Anything bad that happens is Biden's responsibility.
In point of fact, Biden didn't give The Atlantic an interview, right?
Oh yeah, no, that is
true.
That is true.
Yeah, fact check true.
So I laughed and I said, you're right about that. I was just noting that I was just noting that in terms of we didn't come in talking about Biden.
Right.
He just
no, I get it. I get it
all the time.
So I want to read what the president said during the interview with you and your colleagues about running in 2028. Trump says, quote, "Well, I just will tell you this. I don't want to really talk about it, but it's not something that I'm looking to do. It's not something that I'm looking to do. And I think it would be a very hard thing to do. But I do have it shouted at me. No, you've got to run." Do you believe his answer? He's not looking to run again in 2028?
I mean, I think, of course, he's looking to run in 2028. He told us that he's not interested in shattering the biggest norm or one of the biggest norms of all. But there's an easy way to answer the question, and most presidents would answer the question, well, the Constitution says I can't run, so even if I wanted to, which I don't, I'm not running. Like, it's not it's very easy to answer that saying, well, it would be against the law to run for president. So why would you even ask me that? He leaves all doors open.
Lastly, we only have a little bit of time, but what was the most interesting thing that you took away from your meeting with President Trump?
Well, I mean, we talked about Signalgate, and that was interesting. What I sensed was a little bit of softness around Pete Hegseth and his support for Pete Hegseth. He indicated that he thinks and hopes that Pete Hegseth is going to be just fine, but it wasn't a ringing endorsement. The most interesting thing to me, though, was that when I asked him why this intense focus on vengeance or revenge or retribution against people, including people who worked for Joe Biden and Joe Biden himself, he said, look, there are people around here who think we should just go forward and make policy and lead the country. I'm in that camp. He says, you may not believe it. And I said, I might not believe that. I said, there are other people in the White House staff who think that we should really go after our enemies for what they did to us. So he was sort of pinning it on the staff.
Right.
This desire to investigate and punish people he felt did him wrong. I thought that was an interesting moment.
Very interesting. Jeffrey Goldberg, editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, thank you so much. Good to see you.
It doesn't matter how many times you say it, it does not make it so. Look, this is, as Phil said, this is not Biden's economy. This is Trump's economy, no matter how many times he says it or posts it. And Phil will explain to us why we can't technically call it a recession yet, but because we need a second quarter and then we'll look back. But everyone I spoke to, Wall Street, business leaders, that's what they're expecting, a recession. I think beyond the bad politics of it, because fear and uncertainty is not good for the economy and it's not good for a politician, we have to remind people that even if all of these tariffs work out, it would take 5 to 10 years to bring these jobs back. Question whether Americans want all of these jobs. Will business leaders take the gamble of making these kinds of investments when they're looking at something 5 or 10 years out, or are they going to ride Trump out?
Bill Stepien, I keep coming back to this question because, I mean, clearly we've seen him say over and over again, it's Biden's market, it's Biden's market, it's Biden's market. But he does want credit for what's going on with the tariffs, and he's taking full credit for that. I mean, he said there in the Oval Office, Biden was doing this thing, I'm doing this other thing, and yes, your toys may get more expensive, you may have fewer of them. If you were advising him, would you be telling him to talk about it like this?
As a parent with kids with birthdays coming up, I appreciate the lower expectations for toys.
Good point.
Look, the GDP is a math equation. As imports go up, GDP goes down. And businesses were rushing to meet, to beat the tariff deadlines. 41% historic amount of imports this past quarter. So there really shouldn't be surprise here. And I can recite the Republican talking points about core GDP being up and private investments, as you said.
Which are true.
True.
Yeah.
But the problem is there's a lot of trade talking. There's no trade dealing, right? Deals are going to be done. We heard that this weekend. 90 deals in 90 days, not done. Until that gets done, until Trump's advisors actually get deals done, every report, every quarter, every month, Trump's going to be on defense.
So true.
Trump can only blame Joe Biden for so long, and this is actually laughable. It wasn't Joe Biden that put uncertainty in the economy. It wasn't Joe Biden that decided to put tariffs in place and try to send the economy into total chaos. It was Trump. And I think that he believes that he can tell people, listen, this whole short-term pain is his message to the American people, but when does that end? And there is no end in sight. And to your point, this might be 5, 10 years down the road. We're not sure if businesses, actually, we don't even know if it's 5 or 10 years down the road. And he's caused so much uncertainty, and businesses don't even know how to plan. So it almost makes it impossible for Trump to highlight success, because what does success look like at this point? So I think that if you're a member of Congress on the Hill right now, Republican member of Congress in a tough district, I'd be going to the White House and saying, you have got to give us some certainty that we are going to be able to help the American people, that they're going to see some benefits from the tariffs, because right now people are hurting. And I'm not sure that they're going to be okay with that in a few months.